All right, so if you're an independent artist like myself, I already know a lot of us are struggling with the many ways to make money out there, but I'm going to tell y'all today one very unorthodox way that I've been able to make $5,000 over the years. Now, a little bit of background about me. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm from Sanford, Florida originally. Right now I stay in Houston. I've been rapping technically since about 2011. I started as part of a group. I released my first project around 2014, and my second project only released in 2024. So about 10 years from my first to my second project. That being said, I've only recently began taking music for myself on a serious level. I've definitely collaborated and written for other artists, but as far as my own artistry, I'm really only a little bit over a couple years taking it seriously for myself. With that being said, man, I've definitely made my fair share of dollars out here, hustling, doing everything from songwriting, graphic designing, music videos, shooting, editing, whatever the case is, podcasting. Like, there's many ways to get a bag out here, but the one way that is really kind of paid off for me in ways that are invaluable, like beyond measure of a dollar amount, is through Twitch. Now, there's a couple ways you can go about this. I won't talk about the first way that I did it, which is actually as a streamer making money. That's not the focus of this video, but the second most profitable way that I've been able to make that $5,000 I was telling y'all about is actually through song battles and competitions, right? And they're not just exclusive to Twitch. You can find them on TikTok, you can find them on YouTube. I mean, the internet is a limitless place for resources when it comes to stuff like that. But I'm just gonna specifically speak to here because this is where I find that is the most positive community. And I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, how that's also gonna help to your benefit. So how exactly, we won't be chewing gum in the video, right? How exactly did I get these $5,000, right? Now, let me just say, I didn't get 5,000 in a, lump sum or anything like that. Like, it takes a lot of, in my opinion, and you may have it easier, a lot of grinding, right? Now, I'm a hip hop artist, and although hip hop is very trendy, it's on top of the world, people really enjoy the genre. I'll be honest, like, a lot of what's going on out there isn't catered to my kind of hip hop. I'm more of an old school boom bap, rappity rap type guy. And, I'm in my 30s. It's a young man's game. I'm out here competing with, two Hollis and Quadeca clones and stuff like that. But regardless, I found my footing, and I know that if I can do it, as much of a dinosaur as I am in this game, then I know that you listening can probably do this. So how do we go about this, right? The thing that I really want to stress to you as an independent artist is that community is going to be the most important thing. So the reason why I really stuck with Twitch over some of the other platforms is that sense of community, which I would suggest, one, if you don't already have a Twitch account, create one, check it out, kind of feel out, there's it's mainly for gaming, but there's definitely plenty of music channels on there. So I would say hop in and just kind of observe and kind of soak game up a little bit. Don't try to come in too loud, and kind of get the etiquette of what it's like to be in the audience of a Twitch stream, and then we'll kind of proceed from there. The other useful app that you'll need aside from Twitch is Discord. So Discord will be when these creators are not online. This is where members of the community can converse. This is where you'll find collabs. This is where you'll find people to mix and master your music, or just, shoot the bobo with, outside of out of the lives. And I had already had a Discord from when I was trying to like build gaming PCs and stuff, but I didn't know that they were like all of these music channels. And I mean, if you're talking about communities with that have thousands of members, like I've joined some that give you a breakdown of how to make even more money. Some that actually, one community that I'm in, shout out to Rich Dropkick, who's kind of the head of this, but they do like a yearly meetup, so we all lock in for a week and create and build and link and just like really form that type bond. Shout out to my man Boofy as well on TikTok. He does something really similar. It's a little bit more focused, and they do it, I want to say, at least a couple times a year. So shout out to him as well. But anyway, so get you a Twitch and get you a Discord, right? That's the first steps there. Now, when I said earlier that it does kind of take some time, it's going to depend on you. I am of the belief that because of the type of artist I am, it took me a little bit longer to get to a point where, I could find my footing. I don't understand a lot of the memes, the jokes, the relevant artists, all of this. So if you're kind of tapped in, then you'll have much more of a head start than I did. So I'll give you a few communities to check out, see how it fits to like your personality style, and just kind of branch out from there. The first Twitch community that I joined, and these guys also stream on YouTube, is All My Homies. They're out of Orlando, Florida. I know them personally. I've been on their stream. Really dope homies. They stream Wednesdays, I believe, from about 7 p.m. Eastern to 11. Now with these guys, the focus here isn't on, okay, when are they going to do the competitions to get money? Your focus here is that community. Like at this point, the same people come through every single week. It's a smaller crowd, but it's a consistent crowd. So you'll really get to know everybody real quick, and that'll work to your benefit versus some of the larger communities where it's a rotating cast of people there every night. This is a good starting point for you to like get to know everybody that's involved in the community, because it's very active, right? They do a March Madness competition at least every March, where there is a monetary prize. I've never been fortunate enough to win that, but I've made it pretty far in the tournament. So there's definitely some money there to be made, but this is more so the community aspect. Now, what I will say, being a part of this community, although I haven't made money from them winning a competition or anything, I made a lot of clients, people that I help and started the consult and help with songwriting and help them with like the branding of their artistry. So it's paid in other ways, I would say. Second community that I joined, funny name, Big Duck Energy Music. Now with him, my man has a lot of energy, so just be prepared for that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But he does a monthly trap battle, among other battles that he does, that some have monetary prize, some not. But I know the monthly trap battle has at the very least a $100 cash prize, and this is a monthly thing on top of the damn near weekly little side battles he does. But the monthly one is the big one. So you get paired with a random artist or a random producer. You guys have anywhere from 3 days, which is typical, to a week, which has been more of the norm now, because they're getting bigger turnouts. You guys lock in, create a track. There's a prize, I believe, for first, second, and third place. The prize pool grows the more people donate. So that's why I say it's usually about 100, but you know, it's been, I want to say as much as 500 from donations and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Definitely check him out. I would also check out, and I'm gonna put all these in the description, my homie Arawati. It's not a monthly thing. It may be a bi-weekly thing, but typically Saturday afternoons, there's some kind of showcase where you can win anywhere from 50 to 100 and up. You know, I don't think I've ever seen more than 100, but they do it several times a month, this competition. And this one is just real simple. You just submit a song you've already recorded and you get that. So it's real easy. I've won it at least 2 or 3 times. Very easy way to get like a quick, you know, something. One major one as well would be Next Up Live. This one has a little bit bigger of a payout, anywhere from 300 to 500. It is quarterly for the competition that I know he does on a regular basis right now. He's probably the biggest platform that on Twitch that I'm like active in. That being said, they're kind of going through a rebranding period. So a lot of the things that they used to do, they're kind of trying to figure out, you know, ways to do it. But actually tonight is a $500 cash pool prize for their Break the Beat 3 competition. I happened to win the first 2. The third one is happening tonight. So we'll see how that goes. You know, maybe I'll make a video and tell you guys how to do that. Those are the starting points. You go on Twitch, type in music feedback, music competition, rap competition, whatever competition, beat battles, song wars, anything of the like, and you can find these places. Now, in total, I started going on Twitch early 2022. So a little over 2 years, $5,000, depending on where you at in life, maybe a lot, maybe not. But the fact that I can say I've made $5,000 mostly from songs that I've already made and just sent into these competitions. It's just money. You're leaving money on the table, basically, if you're not at least trying to compete in some kind of song war on a weekly basis. Shout out my man Lost Pool Boy. When I was in Next Up's last Break the Beat, he said something that I hadn't really put together in my mind, but he said, yo, I've seen Dollar Water in the slums of music competitions. I mean, from everywhere where it's just him and another person to where there's, 50 to 60 people all competing for this cash prize. And like, I really started to think, I'm like, dang, like I'm in the trenches for real. Like, I'm always looking for something. If I don't got nothing to do, all right, where can I tap in? Okay, how can I do this? How can I do that? And try to win me something. If not a monetary prize, find somebody to collab with. An album I'm working on right now, with my homie Big Label, is through doing these trap battles and Big Dot Energy Music Stream. So there's so many ways to get paid outside of the money. Obviously, we all want money, but I'm telling you, like, the amount of money I've made from connections exceeds what I've made from winning these competitions. But I'm just trying to give you like the quick, because I know that's what y'all want. Y'all want like the quick ways. It does take time, right? So let's kind of talk like etiquette and like the things that I had to do to get to this point, right? When you go into these rooms, these channels, feel it out first. You know what I mean? Don't come in as a stranger and be like, yo, where can I submit? How can I get in? Become a part of the community. Let them get to know your sound, your music. I always try to come in, introduce myself. I compliment, even if I know a song is trash, and there's gonna be a lot of trash music you hear on Twitch. Even in the situations where music isn't the greatest, I still try to give compliments, right? Because people remember that. If they remember, damn, like everybody hated my song except this guy Dollar Water, then I've done something good. You know what I mean? You do kind of got to fake the funk a little bit. You don't have to, but I've definitely done that just as a form of encouragement, because I was there at one point. At one point, my music was trash, and all it took was somebody to be like, hey, I kind of see the vision, come do the show with me, or come do, you know what I mean? Be that person, right? But two, everybody wants, and I'm gonna probably make another video on this, everybody in the underground wants people to support them, but they don't support other people, right? You have to be the support that you seek in music. If you want people to come to your shows, you have to go to the shows of other artists. If you want people to collab with you, you have to collab with other artists. If you want people to send you stuff back on time, then give them their stuff back on time. Put the same effort in. Like, it's golden rule stuff, bro. Like, I don't have to go into detail with that, but be a part of these communities. I've made homies for life. I've met homies for life through these lives. People that I will be friends with for a very long time through these lives. Be supportive and you will get support. And it shows when you start doing head-to-head battles where the chat gotta vote. If you're a dickhead, it's not gonna go well for you. I don't care how dope you are. So just something to keep in mind. Now me, I'm analytical, right? I promise you, a lot of y'all out there are way more talented than me, way more artistic, put more care into what you do. But I am strategically methodical and analytical about this stuff. So let me break down why that benefits me, right? I'll give you an example with Break the Beat right now. I have a reputation in this community for being the diss track guy. Now, in my music that I normally make is usually positive themes. I do tackle certain mature topics like abuse and, dealing with substances and things like that. But like, I don't really curse. If you listen to my album, even the N-word is censored. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really delve into this. But for the purposes of a battle with such a large cash prize on the line, I'll take it there. You know what I mean? I go to Kendrick Lamar Euphoria route. I don't care. I'll do that if it's going to be what separates me, because I understand my wheelhouse. I am not super artistic, melodic hook guy. I know that. I'm not the greatest with hooks. I can't sing for a lick, and honestly, although I like the art that I make, I know what a artsy person is, and I'm not that. You know what I mean? I'm very calculated though. I found a formula that works for me, right? So it does pay to be a part of these communities for a while and research what people like and what people don't like. There are certain communities I'm a part of where they're very EDM heavy, right? So me coming in on some rapidy rap ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? It's time to go get the auto tune and find me a bounce beat. You know what I mean? Or there are certain communities where they like scam, they like drill, they like that R&B sexy shit. So like, okay, yeah, again, that bar to death stuff is not gonna work here. We're gonna need to find like a UK or Brooklyn drill type beat and just throw something on it. Like, it helps to do research. It helps to research the people in this community that, you know, are the figureheads, are the ones that everyone knows, and see what it is that people like about these artists. Ask questions. I stay asking questions. I'll play stupid. I'll get in there and be like, yo, like, man, listen, bro, I don't even understand, like, why do people like Playboi Carti so much? I know why people like Carti, but I want the Carti fans to tell me the 100 reasons why they F with him so much, so that I can get a better understanding of what it is I'm dealing with, right? Now, if I ask that question in a certain community, they're gonna be like, we don't jack that over here. We don't rock with Carti, and that's fine. Then I know that I've probably found my people. But I also know that, okay, yeah, we don't need to be doing that, right? So do your research, ask questions, be friendly, get familiar. You know, again, don't come in and say, yo, how can I get my song played? First time, Ian, introduce yourself, nothing like that. Get to know, hey, yo, you know, I'm just checking y'all out, man. You know, my homie Dollar Water sent me. That ain't gonna lie. You do that, I might get you some brownie points. But yo, my homie Dollar Water sent me, man. You know, I'm a hip hop artist from I'm 19. I've been doing this 2 years. That's the first thing when I stream, like as a music review, feedback, or just whatever the case. I always ask, let me know what it is you do, where you're from, what it is you do, and how long you've been doing it for, right? Give me your name, what city or state you repping, country, what you do. Are you a producer? Are you an artist? Are you a gamer? Are you a graphic designer? Are you this? And how long you've been doing it for? I always ask that if I'm not familiar with the name. It's more so to train people who I'm not familiar with that may not be familiar with stream etiquette. So, because people would just come in and be like, yo, like, first time they ever talking a stream, yo, this song trash. Well, that's not a good way to make a first impression, bro. You know what I mean? Like, no, everybody is not good. Everybody's trying to get better. But, like, you should come in with an open mind, especially if nobody knows you, right? It took me a while to kind of figure it out because, like, you know, I do come from, like, the forum era of hip-hop, the blog era of hip-hop. Everything was anonymous. There was no names. There was no reputations for the most part. You know, if you managed to be one of the lucky ones, and yeah, you know, you had a reputation that you probably take over to Twitter and so on and so forth and branch. But for most of us, it's just what it was. You're just a random series of numbers and letters. So it took me a while to kind of get in the swing of things. But once I figured it out, like, you know, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but like I become an unforgettable personality, right? I like to troll. I like to make certain jokes, you know what I mean? But it's all in the name of making sure that the name Dollar Water doesn't get forgotten for any reason. You know what I mean? It makes it so much easier to weasel your way into the top 3, top 5, or winner of these things when people support you on a genuine level. You know what I mean? That's really all I can say about that. So, but think about, like, I think the exact number is $5,350 that I've earned, right? And we're talking about as little as $50. As much, the most I've ever gotten at in one lump sum from this shit is $1,000, right? That's not normal. Most of the time, 50 to 100, you get a couple 3s, a couple 5s, or like even super rare. But all that to say how I probably, out of all the ones I've entered, maybe won 10%, maybe 15%. So on a weekly basis, I'm anywhere between 5 to 7 song battles, song wars, song competition, beat battle, whatever the case is, 5 to 7 a week, 1 per day on average to get to that point. You may not have to do that. I'm a very specific kind of hip hop artist. I'm usually in these competitions. I'm the only one that makes the type of music that I make. I'm competing with people that have very polished mixes with all of the effects and all these things, and it's me just like damn near like raw vocals, you know what I mean? But it's raw emotion, and sometimes that's enough, you know. A lot of the times it's not. There's money out there for you on Twitch, on TikTok, on YouTube. YouTube is starting to really YouTube is really starting to pay out in a major way. Like, that's where I won my 1,000 at, was through YouTube. TikTok is going to be a lot of passerbys. Like, I think TikTok, because it's so easy to scroll, you just do that. Like, people come, they go, whatever the case is. But the people on TikTok are live way more often. You know what I mean? They're live all damn day. You know what I mean? They go live, go get lunch, get back on live. You know what I mean? Twitch, you're gonna get people that, yeah, they do music feedback and competitions, but they also do gaming, they also do all these other things. And like, salute to them. Like, I think you should diversify, but like, if you find somebody that does these kind of things on TikTok, they do it on a regular basis, and that's all they do. That's all they do. So just keep all that in mind. I can go on for hours about this, but I'm gonna cut it short there. Listen, if y'all got any questions, man, holla at me. I am at Dollar Water everywhere. That's dollar with no R, water, on every single platform you can imagine. All of them. All of the platforms, you hear me? But till next time, man, leave it in the comments. Hit me up through email, info@dollarwater.com. You already know what it is. Y'all been real. I've been Dollar Water. Peace.